Hey everyone, Leaf here. Just sort of out and about today, and I wanted to give you a bit of an update on my vasectomy surgery. As you can see, I've got my arm all wrapped up in a bandage. Yeah, I don't have my little stand today, just a quick video. And the reason for that is it's been almost 3 weeks, and apparently the swelling wasn't just normal swelling. I've got a pretty decent infection. Now, my first vasectomy surgery, when I came out of it, they gave me a prescription for painkillers and they gave me a prescription for antibiotics. So I take double the dose of antibiotics at the start, as soon as I got home, and then 1 pill per day afterwards. Well, this time they said you're not going to need any antibiotics, but if anything comes up, come back in. Well, as you remember, I didn't go back in when I started having some swelling because it was very reminiscent of a hydrocele, which I'm very familiar with. Or sorry, not a hydrocele, a hematoma, which I'm very familiar with, so I didn't think anything of it. Well, now, almost 3 weeks later, yeah, it's a problem. So I've made 2 trips to the hospital now for intravenous antibiotics. I'm going for another dose tomorrow morning. I've got a follow-up appointment with the urologist, and this is why they say if you see any swelling or any discomfort, go back to your family doctor or go back to the urologist, because that's not normal. Now, there are certain kinds of discomfort that you can expect, but they're generally explained to you in advance. But what I had, yeah, I self-diagnosis, they say don't do that. This is why. So yeah, learn from my misery. If something isn't looking right, doesn't look right, it probably isn't. Go get it checked out, and you're going to be so much happier in the end, and it's going to make your recovery take a lot less time. So once this is all cleared up, I will give you an update, and I will let you know exactly how this panned out and what happens if you do get an infection. Alright, so I got a bit of another follow-up update to go with what I had earlier. Turns out, after seeing the doctor and going to the hospital for a few days for antibiotics, it doesn't look like I really have an infection. I thought it was possible I was going to have a really bad one. That was not the case. What it looks like, also after having antibiotics, a 30-minute ultrasound session, trying to figure out what was going on, it looks like it's a hematoma. Yay. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar with what a hematoma is, that's basically a really, really bad bruise. The bruise is just a little bit of blood in between layers of skin. Well, a hematoma is where the blood actually collects into a volume and just sort of stays there, and it takes an awful long time for that to be reabsorbed back into your body. And mine is in such a location where it's putting pressure on other nerves, ligaments, and just a whole bunch of stuff, and it really is not pleasant. So, yay, not a massive infection like I was afraid it was going to be. Boo for the hematoma, because that's going to take a lot longer to go away. It's really uncomfortable, so yeah. Not what I'd hoped for, but it's not the first time I've dealt with this. I had a surgery, 17 years ago now? 17, 18 years ago, like quite a while ago. And I had a hematoma for that as well, except it was much larger. So I know how painful and miserable I was with that. This one, it's not bothering me in the same way. This one's bothering me because of where all the nerves and ligaments and everything that is pushing on. So right now, even though I went for a nice, I can't call it a hike because we really didn't hike up anything. We were more just a nature walk with couple hundred stairs that we did going up and going down. So yeah, I was able to do that nature hike, but pretty much after that it's been all downhill. And this all probably started from 4 days after the surgery. I felt a pop, and what that pop probably was a tearing and just a slow bleed, because I had swelling initially. Well, following that, the swelling started to go down, but it didn't go down all the way, and I started to get more sore. And then I started exercising because I was starting to feel better, so what probably happened is my increased blood pressure increased the bleed, which caused an increase of the hematoma to the point where it is right now. And yeah, now I'm just not a happy camper, so it's going to be a few more weeks for this to fully go away. It's been a few days since I've seen the doctor now, so it's already starting to go away. I'm on oral antibiotics just in case there's something else going on that we didn't quite catch. So we're going to keep working on it, keep monitoring. I've got another doctor's appointment coming up in a few days. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully everything's looking better, and maybe sooner rather than later, this will all just be a fond memory I can look back on and say, I really don't want to do that again. But regardless of what happens, I'll keep you guys up to date. So until then, take it easy.